Hello, this is Isaiah Romero, and I'm running for Santa Fe County Assessor. And I have Kyle Klein and David Barker with Barker Realty today. How are you guys doing today?
Isaiah, good. Nice to see you. Thanks for coming down.
Thank you. So, David, will you tell me a little bit who you are?
Fourth generation Santa Fe, raised in Santa Fe, been here all my life. I love it here, can't get out. And I love the real estate business. People keep asking me how much longer am I going to be doing this. I'm like, I don't know, but I think they're just going to have to buy me a little hat and an apron, and I'll just become a greeter at the front door when I'm too tired and old, and I'll just hand out popcorn.
There you go. That's a good transition. Kyle, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Sure, yeah. I'm Kyle Klein. So I've been here in Santa Fe 11 years now. Came out of the Pacific Northwest to try out. And I've been working here with David for 7 years, and currently oversee the operations, marketing, IT, things like that.
So David,
he's our COO. He runs the place.
And that's why I transitioned to that. As you said, as you get older, this guy's going to take over. So
We got a lot of busy brokers and a very active market. So.
Exactly. So tell me how you got your start in real estate.
My dad started the real estate company back in the 60s when we moved into Santa Fe. I got my license in college and started working with them in the latter 70s. So I've been licensed and working in real estate since 78.
Oh, wow.
Born and raised with it, and in my blood.
Wow.
Have fun with this.
Kyle?
My background's actually in IT. So I was doing private consulting here in Santa Fe, and one of the former employees here had asked for some help. And so I came in doing that, and then kind of just worked my way into the rest of it. So here we are.
Wow. So the first thing I wanted to kind of tackle is, will you give me somewhat what you saw, what you experienced in 2021 as far as the residential market?
And I think we all know there's a lot of pressure. Very active market, low inventory, tremendous pressure and competition between buyers trying to buy properties. We saw prices, the average price of a home in Santa Fe County went up $100,000 last year, just shy of $700,000.
Wow.
That's the average price. That's amazing. That was up about 14% from the average price the year before. In 2020, that price had been up 13%. So we've had a lot of pressure because of increasing prices, and I'm not sure we're going to see that change. I don't think prices will go up as quickly as they have been, but the pressure is still on. We just need more inventory, more supply.
Yeah. And you said how many homes do we have in inventory?
I looked it up this week, and the inventory is down to 168 active houses for sale. That's less than 1 month of inventory. I think this is the first time ever we've had more houses selling in a month than we have for sale.
Oof. So one thing that I think about is it still possible to find something in the 300 range, 200 range, 400 range in Santa Fe?
It always is. Yes, it always is. I mean, there is stuff out there that you would be surprised at. But I think if you look under 500,000, the number of actives diminishes a lot, and you have to be really quick and fast. There are a lot of fixer-uppers out there. What's interesting is even though inventory is low, sales are still strong. People are able to find the inventory, and sale transactions are up. The actual numbers of closings are up.
Wow. So now that we talked a little bit about residential, tell me a little bit about commercial as far as 2021.
The commercial market historically in Santa Fe has always lagged behind what happens residentially, probably by a factor of 2 years or so. So we haven't seen significant increases in commercial values yet, but we're starting to see that go up, where we're seeing rents increase, and that affects property prices. The industrial market is very tight. Boy, finding storage is so hard. I think during the pandemic, people were buying lots of things like RVs, and now they have to have a place to park them.
That's true.
Santa Fe can get kind of strict about their rules of what you can park where and how things look. So, there's a big increased demand for storage.
True.
What's interesting to me is the changes in the demographic of the market and where buyers are coming from. Kyle watches that carefully with what he sees in our internet traffic, and and where buyers are coming from.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I mean, we're seeing folks come in from, kind of the larger MSAs on the West Coast. So we're talking like the LA area, San Francisco, Seattle, Portland corridor. But our traditional feeder markets have always been Texas, right? And so that has continued to grow. What's interesting is it's not all just based out of Dallas anymore. We're seeing a lot more come out of Austin. We're seeing a lot more come out of Houston. And for the first time, Colorado is now at the top of our list.
Oh, wow.
And they don't exceed California and Texas in terms of totals, but they've increased their share substantially. And so we're seeing a lot of people in the Front Range who I think have kind of outgrown that sort of big city component, and they're looking to New Mexico, so they're coming down here. So we're continuing to see pretty strong inbound migration here.
Okay. What about differences in age of buyers?
Yeah, so the demographics have finally started to shift a little bit, and it's one that's almost hard to explain. So I like to describe it almost like, if you're looking at a graph, it's almost like an M. So on the one side, you kind of have the retirees, like usually like the 60, 70 plus that, were fairly typical around here for a long time. And you don't get so much kind of in the middle, but we're seeing an increase now in the 20s and 30s, so the more kind of millennial group. And I think what we're seeing is on the sort of senior demographic, all the aspects of Santa Fe that everyone talks about and loves, the cultural aspects and, the opera and restaurants, things like that. And I think on the younger side, you're seeing this a little bit more outdoor rec orientated. They love the outdoor space here, the ski basin right there, the mountain biking, things like that. And so you kind of have this interesting shift going on in sort of our recreation economy as well.
So how many of those are second homes? Or is the market more towards the older group or towards the younger?
Well, we're definitely still seeing the second home, but I think one of the big shifts that has occurred is the people that had second homes here when the initial pandemic shock hit, they became the primary homes.
Oh, wow.
So the folks that maybe were living in Dallas most of the year and were coming here, a few weeks out of the summer or winter, they came here and stayed here. And so those secondary homes became primary homes. And that's one of the bigger shifts we're seeing, right? Is people are now looking at Santa Fe as more permanent residents and not so much just a sort of resort town.
And then they figure out their second home in Santa Fe isn't big enough.
Yeah.
All their stuff,
right.
And they need an office at home.
Yep.
So they sell that, and then they buy something.
Yeah, they sell the condo, and then they get their their primary residence, and so we're seeing a lot of that.
And a lot of these people, I'm assuming, are working from home.
Yeah, in some cases, yeah. I think that's one of the drivers, right? Is so you have these auxiliary businesses coming off of Los Alamos.
Yeah.
They're very tech heavy sort of industries. And so they're working in Santa Fe because the lifestyle in Santa Fe versus Los Alamos is quite different. And so you'll have folks who elect to live here and have those tech-based roles. But yeah, absolutely, you're getting the remote worker component, right? I was speaking with, I won't disclose their name because they're fairly well known, but they're a writer for one of the larger publications in the country, and they left New York City. And they're living in Galisteo in the middle of nowhere. Nowhere of Galisteo, and they absolutely love it, right? They can see the stars at night, they know all their neighbors, they have beautiful open space, and they're able to conduct their or continue their career just like they were living in downtown New York. So it's that aspect of remote working has changed everything. And we're not that genie's out of the bottle. That's not going back in.
Yeah.
So Isaiah, you've been around for some time, and you've always been a big help to me whenever I have questions that I need to reach out to somebody in the county to talk about a tax assessment. I'm curious, clarify, if somebody's property value goes up 10% in the course of a year, what's that going to do to their tax bill?
I mean, as you know, the valuation will with valuation increases, that their tax bill will increase as well. However, there's legislation that once you purchase your home, it can only increase the following year by 3%, unless you have changes or there's changes of use. So that is there, and it does protect you. So.
So that's the lightning tax bill.
Lightning tax bill.
People from a big increase in property tax.
Exactly.
I think that's really helpful to locals. Not so much to the new people who are just buying, because they're going to get assessed at the price that they paid, right?
That's true.
Compared to other properties, which assessed values may be more based on what they paid years ago plus whatever those 3% increments were.
And the thought was, when that legislation was created, was the fact that, you know, they're trying to protect, you know, the image I had, or what was said around the office at that time is, you know, the old lady who's been in the neighborhood for long years, and, you know, Texas comes in, California comes in, and just, you get these 13-14% increases, and, you know, they didn't want them to be taxed out of their home.
Yeah.
So
Fantastic.
one more question. What is, for 2022, what would you say would be the best sector to invest in as far as real estate for Santa Fe, New Mexico?
Investment portfolio. Well, you know, it starts with what are the objectives of your investor. You need to understand that. Is it cash flow? Is it security? Is it appreciation? Beyond that, I'd have to say you just have to look at the individual deals. You know, rents have been very strong and are continuing to go up, but we see the construction of a lot of apartments right now.
That's right.
I think that's going to change our rental market in the residential sector in about 12 to 18 months. So we may see some softening there. I look forward to that because we need a little pressure relief on the housing market, and good rentals will help that a great deal. Back to your question in terms of what's a good investment, you know, everything has great opportunity and everything's got a bunch of warts too. So you just got to be careful.
It's finding that one deal. Yeah,
You got to
I
make
got
sure
you.
you understand
Yeah.
I got you.
everything there.
All right, guys. Thank you so much.
Hey, I'm just delighted you put your hat in the ring for the county assessor. We need your help there. Big
Thank
time.
you.
Thanks.